This dude has nothing but a house, so what does he do? Obviously rent it out to girls so he can make a harem and clap them, but what he gets is something out of this world, like literally. Ren is just an ordinary guy with pretty basic dreams, graduate college, land a $10,000 a month job, and marry a beautiful girl. A house isn't on the list because his parents already left him one. After finishing college, though, he realizes getting a job is harder than passing finals. His first interview went so badly he can't even find the office. Tired and stressed, he takes a break on a park bench and dozes off. When he wakes up, there's a cute girl standing in front of him. He assumes she's about to yell at him for sleeping there, but she's actually lost and needs help finding an address from a rental ad. Ren looks closer and realizes it's his house. Turns out he posted it for rent a while ago and forgot. He tells her the address belongs to him, and she's embarrassed but asks if he can show her the way. He agrees, mostly because she looks too innocent to survive alone. On the walk, she introduces herself as Lily. Ren wonders if she's not scared he might kidnap her, but she just laughs and says she's only scared of being devoured, which honestly doesn't make it sound better. Her suitcase breaks halfway there, and when Ren tries to help, he realizes it weighs more than his student loans. Lily casually lifts it onto her shoulders like it's nothing. A gust of wind blows her hood off, and he swears he sees animal ears, but he blinks and they're gone, so he decides he's just tired. Then, out of nowhere, a group of weird bird-like creatures attacks. Lily pushes Ren aside and suddenly transforms into a werewolf. A vampire shows up too, and a full-blown supernatural brawl kicks off. Lily saves Ren, and after the vampire flees, she apologizes for dragging him into her mess and decides to leave. Ren, being a decent guy, insists she stay. The next morning, she screams, not because of danger, but because of Ren's cat, Rolly. Once the chaos calms down, bats start flying outside. Yep, the vampire's back. She grabs Ren, accusing Lily of kidnapping him, and they start fighting again like kids over the last slice of pizza. Ren finally yells at them both to stop before they destroy his house. The vampire introduces herself as Vivian, a noble who drinks blood responsibly like a vegan, but for vampires. Turns out she also wanted to rent the place but is broke. Ren, realizing two renters are better than one, agrees to let her stay too. Two hot baddies added to the harem already. Lily hates the idea, of course, but there's nothing she can do. Vivian tries to cook to make peace, and her food ends up being amazing. Even Lily admits it's good. Ren's phone rings with an unknown number. Ren picks up a random call and is immediately greeted by someone screaming in his ear. Turns out he apparently has a job interview, which is news to him since he never applied for one. The caller insists he show up at 2 p.m. for a retail company job. Ren tries to explain that the place is way too far, but the call ends before he can even protest. With no better plans and too much curiosity, he hops on a bus and heads there anyway. The office turns out to be in the middle of nowhere, like horror movie level empty. Just when he's ready to leave, another mysterious voice calls him and tells him to touch a telephone pole and look at the sky. Weird instructions, but Ren does it. Suddenly, a massive spaceship appears overhead, and before he can say, "What the hell?" he's teleported inside. He wakes up in front of a huge door that opens by itself. Inside is a woman who looks like she walked straight out of a sci-fi anime. She introduces herself as Raven, his new boss. Ren's brain is already fried, but she tells him they're literally in space. She flirts a bit, compliments his eyes, and offers him instant noodles. He declines, trying to figure out what kind of company interviews people in outer space. Raven finally explains that she works for something called the Seal Empire, an organization that oversees all universes. Their main job? Prevent chaos and keep weird alien races from wrecking planets. She tells Ren he's being hired as an assistant examiner, basically a cosmic janitor for universal problems. His main tasks? Take care of special tenants and clean up messes when some species try to mess with evolution. Ren's confused but tempted by the salary, which sounds like a government job with benefits. Raven adds that he already passed the first test just by letting Lily and Vivian stay at his house. He thinks about refusing until she mentions that doing so would erase his memories and kick the girls out of his life. Not wanting that, he signs the contract. When he's sent back home, the girls crowd around him to read the appointment letter. Vivian, ever the skeptic, says Raven doesn't sound like a goddess to her. Lily, as usual, just eats snacks. The two girls start bickering again, and Ren plays peacemaker before they wreck his furniture. Later that night, Ren dreams he's trapped in a frozen world being chased by wolves. Just when one's about to bite him, he wakes up clutching a clump of wolf fur. Vivian and Lily argue over what it means, and before long they're competing to give him protective charms, most of which look like random junk. Vivian tries a magic spell on him, but it doesn't work. Turns out Ren might be immune to magic, which freaks her out more than it does him. Just as they're wondering what he really is, Raven calls again, yelling for him to come to the office the next day for an urgent mission. The next day, Ren finds himself back in space, standing in front of a massive building with a fancy fountain shaped like a statue. He stares at it for a moment, then reminds himself not to get distracted by pretty things, especially when he has no idea why he's there. He knocks on the main door a few times, but no one answers. The place is dead silent. Just when he's about to give up and go home for a nap, a familiar voice behind him says the people inside aren't weirdos, they're elemental servants. He turns around, nearly having a heart attack, only to see a woman he recognizes. She's covered in dirt and holding what looks like a massive sword. She explains she's been trimming trees with it, because apparently space gardening requires medieval weapons now. After a quick wardrobe change, she returns looking elegant and tells Ren she has something for him, a personal terminal designed for examiners. She describes it like it's the latest iPhone, bragging about its awards and popularity. Ren takes it, and the thing turns on by itself. She explains that he can control it with his thoughts and that it's mainly used in life or death missions. Ren laughs nervously because, well, he's more of a don't die kind of guy. She casually adds that even if he dies, they can just pop his soul into a new body, like respawning in a video game. Ren doesn't find that very comforting. Before he can ask what his actual job is, she drags him to something called the Enhancement Center. Using a computer command, she summons a huge metal chest and tells him to get in. He hesitates, of course, because climbing into random boxes in space doesn't sound safe. She loses patience and shoves him in anyway. The chest starts spinning and Ren screams that he's too young to die. When the dizziness fades, he's suddenly in an open field, a virtual training world. A glowing blue circle appears and introduces itself as his terminal. It tells him that if he dies here, he'll die for real. Moments later, 3 wolves attack him. He panics, but somehow triggers a new ability called Hard Shield, which protects him with a glowing blue coat. Just when things calm down, a huge talking wolf shows up, angry because Ren chipped its tooth. Ren quickly negotiates, promising to take the wolf to a dentist if it lets him live. Surprisingly, it works, and Ren gets a ride to the nearest settlement on the wolf's back. When they part ways, he promises to keep his word because, apparently, even wolves can hold grudges. He finds a small cabin and uses his terminal as a flashlight, but it scolds him for misusing advanced technology. Typical smart device attitude. Inside, he discovers a paper with strange symbols, and before he can blink, it explodes into light and sends him flying back to reality. Ren wakes up in Raven's office complaining that he only got a shield out of all that chaos. She assures him upgrades take time. Then she casually mentions his next mission, going to Europe to meet a new tenant who will join the 2 girls already living with him. The plane finally takes off and Ren's trapped between his 2 tenants. Lily demands the menu and announces she'll order everything until she's emotionally satisfied. Vivian ignores her and asks Ren about their new tenant in Europe. Ren shrugs. All he knows is that the guy lives somewhere called Yorkford. Lily gets excited. Vivian smirks, saying she doubts it'll go that smoothly. Vivian gazes out the window, fascinated by how high they're flying. Ren asks if it's her first time on a plane, and she says the last time she was this high, she was falling like a block of ice. He nervously jokes that she should avoid flying too low, and she assures him that no one ever notices her at high speed. Lily butts in, saying it's because Vivian's too broke to buy a ticket. Vivian snaps that she doesn't need planes to fly. He complains that Raven was cruel for booking economy seats. Lily claims she's flown first class before, and Ren raises a brow, asking if she even knows how to buy a ticket. She says yes, then proudly admits her best flight was when she snuck in for free. They finally land in foggy England, dragging their luggage through freezing wind. Vivian says the area's changed since she lived there centuries ago. Lily whines about walking and demands a taxi, but Ren reminds her they're on a budget tighter than his patience. Vivian insists she'll ask for directions. After all, she speaks English like a native. Turns out her native English is from the 1600s, and no one understands a word she says. Running out of ideas, Vivian hands the envelope to Lily and tells her to sniff out the location. Lily actually does it, but only after Ren promises a steak dinner. Eventually, they find the place, a massive, luxurious hotel. Vivian collapses onto the soft bed while Lily orders half the menu. Ren panics about the rent bill and yells at them to calm down. When he checks the map on his terminal, it refuses to read. Raven appears on screen, nags him to research better, then updates the terminal with language translation and a new rule. Talk bad about her? Get zapped. Ren mutters a complaint and instantly gets electrocuted. At dinner, Vivian's patrol bats warn something's off. Before they can react, a man named Nangong appears, introduces himself as a demon hunter, and insists on joining them. He's charming but sketchy, the kind of guy who'd say, "Trust me," right before stealing your soul. Later, Nangong takes them to an inn run by a manager who looks like he hasn't slept since the last century. He claims there are no rooms available, but after some insistence promises he'll find a way. A few minutes later, the creepy innkeeper comes back saying he's found some rooms. Ren takes the key and hands it to Vivian, since she's sharing with Lily. Nangung raises an eyebrow and asks if Ren and Vivian aren't a couple, which makes both of them look at each other in disgust. As they head upstairs, Lily, half asleep and starving, bites Vivian on the neck, thinking she's food. Downstairs, while handing over the keys, the innkeeper asks if they're going to the castle for the ghost event. Ren quickly says, nope, but Nangong proudly declares himself a demon hunter and says they're here to deal with the evil spirit in the ruins. Downstairs, Nangong asks Angus for a map of Yorkford Castle. Angus says no such map exists, but he can tell the story instead. He explains that Yorkford Castle has stood for centuries, but people stopped going there after strange things started happening. There was a rebellion long ago. Soldiers got trapped in an underground tunnel, died, and turned into ghosts. Since then, anyone hunting treasure there disappears. He goes on about a treasure hunter who rebuilt the castle full of traps and secret passages to guard his riches. After his death, his 3 sons fought over the inheritance, turning the place into a bloody battlefield. All 3 died, and their ghosts now haunt anyone foolish enough to enter. After hearing this bedtime horror story, Ren heads upstairs to tell Vivian. Lily's already out cold, so he explains everything to Vivian. She then summons her bats, saying they smelled ghostly energy underground, exactly where the event is happening. Meanwhile, in the men's room, Nangong stares at a photo of his sister. When Ren walks in, he startles him, and the photo nearly falls. Ren catches it just in time. Nangong snatches it back, saying no one else should touch it. He explains he became a demon hunter, just to protect her, though he doesn't even know where she is now. The lights suddenly go out and Ren screams like a child. Meanwhile, Angus sneaks out with the other travelers, driving them toward the castle. Nangong spots this from his window and decides to follow. Not long after, Vivian bursts through Ren's window, landing on his bed. Ren thinks she's a ghost and almost dies of fright. She explains Nangong went to the castle alone, and they need to follow before he gets himself killed. They wake Lily, who's eaten half the furniture in her sleep. Vivian punches her awake, and they take off. Vivian flying with Ren, Lily running below. Halfway there, Lily trips and the ground collapses, revealing a tunnel, conveniently leading straight to Yorkford. They crawl out near the castle where exorcists and Angus's group are already gathered. The terminal refuses to help, telling Ren to figure it out himself. As they hide, Nangong shows off some flashy spells, jumping around like a supernatural parkour pro. They sneak past and head toward a small church where they find the blood-stained cross Angus mentioned. Vivian purifies it, revealing ancient writing. The terminal translates it, directions to a secret staircase. Following them down, it confirms what they've all been waiting to hear. The new tenant is underground. Descending the stairs, the group entered a pitch-black tunnel, lighting the way with the terminal, which kept insisting it wasn't a flashlight. As they walked, they came across a massive room. Lily ran around like a kid at Disneyland, while Vivian felt uneasy and said something didn't feel right. Lily suddenly claimed she could smell humans and led the way. After running for a bit, everyone got tired. Vivian wanted to explore for treasure, and Ren joked that in a place this big, there had to be something worth stealing. Lily pulled out a bone-shaped snack and started eating. Vivian refused to join in, and Lily teased her about being old and afraid of cavities. Vivian clapped back, and before it turned into another catfight, Ren said they were both 17, which somehow didn't help at all. A deep rumble echoed through the tunnel. How Ren jumped and muttered that the new tenant better pay triple rent for scaring him like that. Meanwhile, Nangong used his magic to open a hidden path somewhere else in the tunnel. As Ren's group moved forward, they ran into the creepy innkeeper, Angus, sneaking around with a backpack. Lily, being Lily, decided to prank him. Vivian covered them in a black mist so they looked like ghosts, and Ren spoke in a spooky voice, asking what Angus was doing there. Terrified, Angus confessed he made up the ghost event to attract tourists because his in-business sucked. Ren pretended to be a vengeful spirit, scolded him, and told him to leave immediately. Not long after, the mist faded and they found ancient inscriptions on the wall. Vivian said it was a seal that kept evil spirits locked away and that touching it would be a very bad idea. Naturally, she touched it anyway and the whole place started shaking. Arrows shot out of nowhere and they had to sprint for their lives. Elsewhere, Nangong triggered his own traps, arrows, falling rocks, even a giant rolling boulder. The man was basically living out an Indiana Jones remake. Ren's group later stumbled into a treasure room, but it turned out to be a magical illusion. They barely escaped more traps before collapsing to rest, only to be ambushed by ghost knights. After running from the undead, they found a glowing stone, supposedly a magical communicator for demons. Right as Vivian said, "It's safe unless someone hits it," Nangong blew up a wall and the stone crashed down. Now surrounded by ghost knights, the group realized their little ghost adventure was about to get way too real. Nangong finally showed up to help, but honestly, his timing couldn't have been worse. Instead of saving the day, he accidentally released a swarm of ghost knights that surrounded everyone. Seeing that they were badly outnumbered, Vivin quickly came up with a plan and told Ren and Lily to buy her some time so she could charge up her blood magic. Ren threw up a magical barrier while Lily started pelting rocks like she was in a fantasy food fight. Somehow it worked long enough for Vivin to finish her spell. She got all confident and dramatic, unleashed her noble blood magic, and completely missed the knights. Instead, she hit the glowing stone, which cracked open and released a gigantic monster from above. Everyone froze. And then things got weirder. The monster ignored the others and went straight for Ren, grabbing him like it was claiming its prize. Vivin immediately went into battle mode and summoned a giant red moon to prepare another powerful spell. But apparently the moonlight made Lily act all strange, like she was drunk on vampire energy. Before Vivin could even attack, the demon spoke, and it turned out he was the new tenant they were supposed to find all along. The demon calmly asked to sign an attendant contract, which was probably the weirdest way anyone had ever introduced themselves. When he saw Ren panicking, he casually blew away all the remaining ghost knights in one go. The terminal popped up confirming the mission was complete, and Ren, still trying to process everything, asked the demon to take human form. So the huge beast turned into a bald, muscular guy who looked like he bench-pressed small cars. He introduced himself as Zax. After finishing up, Ren reported back to Raven. Raven revealed that the real mission had been to seal Zax away with the magical stone, since he'd gotten stuck in another dimension earlier. Raven also mentioned that Zax had been betrayed and hurt in his old world, so Ren should try to get along with him. Basically, be nice to the scary bald dude. Ren eventually went home, surprisingly happy to hear the usual chaos from his tenants. Vivin had converted his storage room into her personal suite and was proudly showing off a weird piece of metal with strange writing on it. Ren recognized it as part of an old childhood toy, but got uneasy when he noticed markings related to the dream dimension wolf, something that clearly wasn't just kid stuff. Before they could figure out what the writing meant, Ren got a call from the police. Apparently, Zax had been detained because he looked too scary. The next morning, Ren wakes up confused about why Raven called him so early. At the office, Raven explains that the contractor who was supposed to bring the last roommate to Earth messed up and left the poor guy 895 light-years away. Naturally, she decides Ren should go get him. He stares at her like she's lost it, but she tells him this is a great chance to broaden his horizons. Translation: she's sending him to space with no real plan. Since the planet is mostly ocean, Raven brings in a specialist, Satsuki. Turns out she's half mermaid, half human, raised on land, and now Ren's new roommate. Back home, the others welcome her. Vivin offers to cook, which Satsuki finds hilarious. A vampire making dinner for a werewolf? Vivin deadpans that she's only fattening Lily up to use as monster bait. Lily obviously loses it, and Zax, as usual, steps in to stop another food-related fight. After dinner, Ren says he's heading to space to pick up the missing roommate and can only bring 2 people. Later that night, Satsuki finds Ren getting a drink and asks if he's scared. He says no, but she doesn't buy his "I'm just a regular human" story. She thinks he's secretly some kind of supreme being or intergalactic sugar daddy. He insists he's just a dude. She shrugs and says her own situation is top secret, then heads to bed. The next day, Terminal takes them to a teleportation zone that sends them straight to a space station. A cheerful alien guide greets them and explains the place is just a relay stop. No big crowds, just weird vibes. Ren's disappointed that aliens aren't as freaky looking as in movies, while Satsuki says the gravity feels the same as Earth's. They board a ship that's supposed to take them to the planet. It's completely empty, and Terminal casually mentions it's usually used for cargo. A hologram captain appears, assuring them it'll be a smooth, one-day trip. Zax calls him trustworthy, which is probably the biggest lie ever spoken in space. Back on Earth, Lily's sulking because she thinks the landlord ditched her. Vivin tries to cheer her up, but immediately regrets caring. Meanwhile, in space, the group's killing time with a card game when suddenly their ship gets caught in a race between rival companies. Terminal yells that they need to jump to a smaller ship before they drift through space for a few thousand years. Zax volunteers to open the emergency door manually by punching it open, because apparently physics doesn't matter when you're built different. He pulls it off, they eject, crash land into the ocean, and Ren catches a glimpse of a mermaid before passing out. When Yoshihito wakes up, he's somehow in the dream dimension. Terminal calmly explains that when Ren nearly drowned, his mind basically glitched and entered this weird dream space. In the real world, Satsuki's helping him recover, and says there's nothing to worry about. Ren asks how Terminal can be in two places at once, and Terminal smugly replies he's just multitasking, like an overworked Google Chrome tab. Ren sees a group of wolves getting attacked by another pack and jumps in to defend them. One of the wolves gets offended, saying they don't need pity. Ren insists he's not trying to humiliate them, he just wanted to help since they've apparently lost all their teeth. They chat a bit about an ancient stone with carvings nearby. The wolf says it's an old human language used for messages. Before Ren can ask more, Terminal warns he's about to wake up. He opens his eyes to find Zax giving him mouth-to-mouth. Talk about awkward good mornings. The others are relieved he's alive, and Terminal says he scanned the planet while Ren was out cold. Two crash sites appear on the map. They figure the new roommate must be near the sea, and Satsuki offers to handle that part. Meanwhile, back home, Vivian's made a huge meal. Lily's shoveling food into her mouth like she hasn't eaten in weeks until she realizes everything tastes like garlic. She complains that her nose is too sensitive, then dramatically faints. Vivian sighs, wondering why she even bothers being nice. Back in the forest, the group finds a crashed ship but no survivors. Terminal says the cargo section is missing, so maybe the roommate's in there. The trail leads to the ocean. Satsuki strips down and dives in, handing Ren her clothes, which confirms she's definitely a siren. She drags him underwater and he realizes he can breathe somehow. A shark attacks, but Satsuki turns into an octopus, instant shark repellent. They reach the cargo hold, find an egg inside, and realize that's their new tenant. Raven appears in her ship, almost crashes into them, and casually declares Ren captain of a new ship. The egg, she explains, belongs to a rare nymph, the last of its kind. Ren panics at the responsibility, but Raven assures him the baby's basically indestructible. With Terminal piloting, they set course for home, hopefully without more drowning, glowing wolves, or unsolicited mouth-to-mouth. Ren, Zax, and Satsuki finally get teleported home. The place looks like a war zone, and everyone's starving. Turns out Lily went full feral mode. Vivian's trying to hold her down, but Lily slips free and pounces straight on Ren like a hangry ex. Then she spots the egg, licks her lips, and Satsuki has to shout that it's not breakfast. Zax restrains her, and Ren asks how long she's been like this. Vivian says she went nuts right after dinner was served. They all agree she needs help, so Ren tries asking Data to teleport them to Raven's office. But Data says Lily's too unstable for that. Zax shrugs, grabs a bottle of soy sauce, and draws a teleportation circle on the floor. Vivian mutters that demons are basically pros at this stuff. They pop up in Raven's office, who's clearly in no mood. Before Ren can explain, Lily slips out of Zax's arms and bites Raven on the leg. Raven glares, and Lily suddenly freezes, staring into her eyes like she's watching a horror movie. Then she lunges again, but Raven stops her with one casual hit. Raven says Lily isn't sick, she's evolving. Basically, her werewolf powers are awakening early, which explains why she's gone full psycho. Normally it takes years, but something triggered it. Vivian awkwardly admits she might have caused it. That time she conjured a red moon back at Yorkford Castle. She quickly changes the subject. They just need to stabilize Lily's mind. At the reinforcement center, Lily wakes up calm and apologetic, saying she barely remembers anything. Everyone's relieved, though Ren stays behind to talk with Raven. She reminds him that without mission reports, there's no pay. She also warns that Lily's change isn't done yet. The real transformation will happen under the next full moon. Unfortunately, that's tomorrow, and Raven's conveniently busy. The next night, the group sets up camp far from the city. Vivian brews some medicine, which burns holes in the ground when spilled. Zax is loving the camping vibes. Lily's playing with the egg, and everything's chill. Until she sees the moon. Instead of a scary werewolf, she turns into a massive, fluffy husky. Everyone thinks she's adorable. Ren tries to calm her, gets licked instead, and then she howls loud enough to wake aliens. The group panics as she runs off. After a chaotic chase, Satsuki sings to calm her down, and Lily slowly changes back to human, but naked, of course. They wrap her in a blanket. Just when things seem peaceful, a mysterious guy named Ewan sneaks up and knocks Ren out cold. Lily wakes up floating in space. Each of her hands has a claw, one burning hot, one freezing cold. She has no idea where she is, but before she can explore, she gets zapped by an electric barrier. Then two guys appear, Kasan and Ewan. They claim to be her allies, protecting her from some deceiving vampire. Lily's confused and just wants to know where her friends are. They tell her she shouldn't hang out with other species. Lily pushes back, saying everyone's been kind, even Zax and Satsuki. Ewan doesn't like that answer, so he casually says they'll starve her until she agrees to go with them. When she refuses, Kasan knocks her out. Meanwhile, Vivian's bat familiar has been spying on the whole thing and reports back. Kasan says Lily will be useful to their clan and that they'll teach her about werewolves, which sounds either educational or really sketchy. Back home, everyone's panicking. Ren wakes up with a bump on his head, remembering someone ambushed him and took Lily. Zack says he'll go find her, but no one knows where to start. Vivian checks her bat, but it's too weak to say much. Terminal runs a scan and finds traces of oil, coal, iron oxide, and bits of glass inside the bat. Vivian immediately realizes that means steel factory. And lucky for them, there's one nearby. They split into pairs and head there. But Ewan already set up a magic trap. Anyone entering triggers an explosion. Vivian's bats try to scout ahead, but one gets vaporized. They arrive and find the place covered in thick fog that burns through stones. Vivian figures Ren might be able to cancel the magic barrier somehow. Ewan sees them coming and attacks, transforming mid-air because why not show off? Ren demands to know where Lily is. Vivian fights the wolf while Zax protects her, or maybe he's just too busy showing off. Ewan suddenly freezes when he sees Vivian and calls her the Red Moon Summoner Countess. Ren walks straight through the barrier like it's nothing and finds Kassan waiting. They fight until Ren uses fire alarms to throw off his scent. He finally finds Lily, who's more annoyed about being hungry than kidnapped. They bump into Kassan again, and everyone starts arguing about who's on whose side until Vivian and Ewan show up. Turns out Ewan and Kassan came here because all magical creatures are gathering with their own kind. Apparently, the day of the mermaid prophecy is coming. Before anyone can unpack that nonsense, demon hunters show up. The werewolves lose their cool and transform. One of the demon hunters yells that alliances between fantastic species are forbidden. Yeah, apparently racism is alive and well, even in the supernatural world. He tells the Wolf brothers to join their side, but they refuse, so he shoots them in the back like a total coward. Ren steps forward, reminding everyone that he's just a human caught in the middle of all this nonsense. The hunter offers to let him go if he hands over his friends. Ren refuses, obviously. So the hunter gives the order, capture the brothers, kill everyone else. Bullets start flying. Ren shields everyone while Vivian distracts the hunters with her magic. Lily goes full beast mode and charges at them like a feral gremlin who skipped breakfast. Ren tells everyone to close their eyes and uses Terminal like a blinding flashlight. In the chaos, Kassan tells him to hop on his back, and they escape. Another hunter corners Vivian and asks why she's helping monsters. Vivian smirks and says she was influenced by a kind-hearted idiot. The group gets cornered again. Kazan tells Ren to run while they hold off the hunters. He does, but a female hunter chases him, suspicious that he's too strong for a human. Ren insists he's normal, just too nice for his own good. She calls BS, assuming he's a new kind of monster. They fight, and after a few dodges and punches, Ren leaves her knocked out. The brothers are barely standing. Ewan tries one last attack, but the hunter freezes him solid with a dagger. Kassan begs for mercy, offering to share what he knows about the mermaid prophecy. Just then, Ren and Lily arrive. Lily immediately unleashes 2 tornadoes because why talk when you can cause natural disasters? Satsuki heals Ewan with her powers, saving him. When things calm down, Kassan explains the prophecy. When the day of resurgence comes, magical beings grow stronger while demon hunters weaken. Just as they start piecing it together, another demon hunter appears, but Zax melts his dagger like it's made of butter. Then, a giant meteor falls from the sky and Zax punches the guy into it. Nungong shows up and it's revealed that Satsuki is his sister, surprising everyone. Satsuki glares at her brother, asking if he's stalking her again. He apologizes, saying he's failed as a brother. She snaps back that failing isn't the problem, being a creepy, overprotective weirdo is. Apparently, he's been following her everywhere. The sea, well, probably the bathroom too if she didn't lock the door. He claims it's for protection, but she says he's the real danger. Ren asks if that means he's also a mermaid. Satsuki explains their mom was a mermaid, and their dad was a demon hunter, a combo that really shouldn't have worked. But apparently love beats species laws. Satsuki says her parents disappeared one day, and she's been traveling to find them. Vivian feels bad for bringing it up. Then Nangu interrupts, confused by all the magic talk, and asks why everyone's even in England. Ren explains he rents rooms to homeless magical creatures, kind of like an Airbnb for the supernatural. They came to England to meet Zax. Ren then wonders if huskies count as werewolves. Lily gets all sad, thinking she might not be one. Vivian decides to run a test and bites her neck. Everyone freaks out, but Vivian insists it's just for science. Turns out Lily's not a wolf at all. She's part husky, part Pekingese, basically a fancy small dog with anger issues. They talk again about the prophecy, warning that the demon hunters will strike soon. Vivian says they're strong enough to handle it, but Nangong admits it's an awkward conversation to have as, well, a demon hunter. Suddenly, the power goes out, not because of enemies, but because Ren forgot to pay the bills. Turns out being the landlord of magical freeloaders doesn't pay much. He asks everyone to chip in. but no one has money. He sighs and goes to bed. The next day, everyone gets odd jobs. Lily's working at a dog cafe, Satsuki's singing in the park, Zax is chopping trees. Ren, broke and tired, asks Raven for a raise. She agrees, saying he handled last night's chaos well. Later, he comes home to find everyone celebrating. They somehow got enough money to pay rent. Lily even made a cake to thank him. But as they feast, someone leaves the stove on. Ren announces his next mission, a trip to the dream world. Everyone insists on going. When they check on the mysterious egg they'd forgotten about, they find Lily boiling it right before it hatches. And that's how the totally normal life of Ren, the human landlord of chaos, rolls on, full of monsters, unpaid bills, and friends who can't cook without starting a crisis. This is where the story ends for now. Subscribe to see the next part and click here to watch the story of a guy who teleports to another world, gets unlimited power, and literally marries a wolf. See you there!